Hi everyone, I'm Victor Assad. I am the author of Hack Recruiting. And I am here today with Sahil Sahni, and he is the co-founder of AllyO. And we're going to chat with him in just a moment. But in my book, Hack Recruiting, what I am telling the HR community and the recruiting community is that we now have the same digital tools that are available, that have been available to marketing, to help marketing build brand, attract new clients, build relationships with those clients, and then bring them in as clients. HR too can use these tools to build an employer brand, find people to recruit, build relationships with them, and bring them into the company. These tools are also finding their way into other HR uses. So this is a very exciting time for us in human resources. Thank you for joining us today. Sahil, good to have you with us today. It's a beautiful afternoon here in Silicon Valley, and you're in Palo Alto with your new offices. It's very lovely here.
Thank you for having me on the show, and thanks for coming by our office.
My pleasure. It's really pretty to be here. It's a wonderful place, and you have just an awesome technology. I got to tell you, I'm really impressed. I write about it quite a bit in Hack Recruiting, but you've made a lot more progress with this since it takes a long time to publish a book, since we began to write about it.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell everyone first a little bit about yourself and what led to the founding of AllyO.
First, again, just want to thank you for having me on the show, and just want to vouch for the book. It's a really good book, and I think everyone can really benefit. We try to educate the market, and I think for somebody like you to go around consolidating all the insights, it's obviously super valuable.
Thank you.
A little bit about me. I grew up in New Delhi, India, and after undergrad, I ended up coming to the US, to Boston. And I thought I would just want to do a master's and end up into corporate America.
Right.
But I found the US education system to be phenomenal. Just the flexibility, the freedom to do what you want. And I ended up doing a PhD.
Wow.
And while doing a PhD, I had a brief stint at a startup at MIT. And that's what, like, the entrepreneurship flavor that I got then just stuck with me.
Okay.
And then X years later, almost 5 years ago now, my co-founder and I, very good friends from first year of undergrad, Ankit and I, we got back together. We were just green carded.
Okay.
So there was literally no excuse to now like be employed at a regular job. And we quit our job, and then we started to explore ideas. And we wanted to do something that has a business impact, but at the same time has social impact. And recruiting is one of the rare industries where you're helping people find a job, but there are employers out there who are willing to pay you for it if you do a good job. And so we actually spent 6 months across all the malls in the Bay Area. We camped out there. We would talk with visitors of the mall, offering them jobs that were told to us by the store managers of the different stores. And we ran that pseudo-staffing company to identify what now have become like the fundamentals of AllyO. And in that process...
So it started very face-to-face, very old-fashioned?
Very grassroots level. We had no idea because, we were not experienced, but end of the day, that led to us coming up with the product idea, but also two big Fortune 500 companies gave us contracts, and we didn't have a company name to put on that contract. And so that led us to start AllyO. This is back in 2016. So
this is pretty recent history.
So,
in the book, I talk about AllyO. You know, it's complete from hello to 90 days later, doing follow-up and getting feedback from everyone that applied for jobs. And with AllyO, the automation's incredible, and the chatbot, or the bot capability is incredible. But what you can track on it is incredible. So tell us a little bit about that.
One of the few things that we found at a high level, if you look at the macro level labor market, the experience you've had as an HR leader, the experience I've had as being an employee, has mostly been in the professional world. In fact, Silicon Valley is full of just professionals. But close to 82% of the labor market in the US and close to 90% of the labor market globally are your hourly workers, your low skill, high volume. And the LinkedIns of the world the technologies of the world are all addressing engineers and professionals.
Right.
No one's doing anything for the vast majority of the labor market.
Yes.
What we found is such employees are on the go. They have 2 or 3 jobs.
Yeah.
They don't have a MacBook with them.
Yes.
Even to apply for a job, historically, they would have to go to a public library, log in and submit that tedious AllyO application and whatnot.
Yeah.
And really all that they wanted was a chat. And more than 80%, 85% of the times, they would never hear back after applying.
Yeah.
Now, these are people who make $20,000, $25,000 a year.
Right.
They make up for a bulk of the labor market.
Yeah.
And it's super tough for them to find a job. It just is wrong at multiple levels,
Yes.
not just morally.
Yeah.
And so in our initial research at the malls and elsewhere, we identified that they are much more accessible over the phone. The conversations with them, because their jobs are not as complicated, often can be automated from a recruiting process standpoint. But we also find out that these people, because they are economically at the lower end of the spectrum, they will tend to flee a new job that they've taken up if they find somebody who comes and gives them $2 per hour more.
Yes. Yeah.
Or if the manager is not good, or they're bullied, or there's some discrimination at work, and they will leave.
Yeah.
And so we found that in automating the recruiting process in a conversational manner allowed for very high efficiency from hello to getting hired.
Yeah.
But to keep them retained, you have to maintain that touch.
Yeah.
And the trust that they've developed with AllyO through the recruiting process can be utilized post-joining by checking in and saying, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
And tell me, do you have enough hours? Is your pay adequate? Is your manager good? Is your team good? Did you get training? Do you get your uniform? Whatever it might be, tell us so that we can help you succeed, which is the success of the employer. And that journey has taken us now from an end-to-end spectrum of the human capital management, from not only recruiting but all the way to exit interviews.
Okay.
And so that's been the journey overall, but it's the same technology addressing a majority of the market, making it more efficient for them and the employers to come together and have success.
Well, that's interesting. In the book, AllyO's story pretty much ended 90 days after hire, and now you're applying the technology to exit interviews, and I'm assuming, and I heard also
Several
career
others.
development area.
Yeah, onboarding, right? When you have to, people love money, but people also love to learn.
They do love money, yes.
They love money, but they love to learn.
Yeah.
And for some people at different stages, they care more about learning.
Right.
Onboarding and training and the coordination of that now happens through AllyO. Pulse check-ins, like we've got every month. So today, being the last day of the month, there'll be a survey that'll go out to each of the 150 employees at AllyO, checking in, hey, how was this month? What was your accomplishment?
Okay.
And the functional leads will be informed on how they're doing relative to others.
All right.
That kind of insight.
So you're building an engagement capability.
Correct. The employee engagement all through, but you're checking in on, hey, where in the HR life does there exist a lot of administrative coordination that can be potentially automated with a conversational technology that people start trusting more, increasing more participation as well as more quality of input.
Yeah. Probably everyone out there is saying, well, in addition to recruiting and engagement and training, new benefit enrollment at the end of the year.
So many.
Yeah.
There's so many, because historically I think employees have not embraced HR and the initiatives and the program of HR as much, because the processes have been tedious, or it's not been portrayed with the right mindset.
Right.
We feel making it conversational and HR coming to them, even though it can't scale at the human, but at the technology level it can, leads to that kind of an achievement.
Okay. That's terrific. And another thing with AllyO, in the book we talk about a net promoter score with those hired in job candidates and what that can do for you. And separately, I make the case, and it was made talking with your David Bernstein here, that a net promoter score, many people that apply for a job, how you treat them, if it's really bad, they won't shop at your store anymore or come into your restaurant. And so a net promoter score is important for your employer brand and the customer brand as well. And with all these instantaneous communications coming from AllyO to job candidates, that really helps promote that. So you have great things going on here with their technology. Who's the ideal AllyO client?
It varies. The technology is very versatile. We've found success mostly till date with large customers because that's where we focused. There are two reasons for that. One is while we've got cool tech, we've also got very cool and sound business fundamentals.
Okay.
And large enterprises end up hiring a vast majority of the labor market. So think of Walmart.
Yeah.
Walmart employs 2% of America.
Yeah.
So if you were able to come up with a technology like ours and have success at the Walmart scale, you feel like you can repeat that success across the labor market.
Sure.
So we targeted large enterprises because there's so much domination by large enterprises.
Right.
The second aspect is when you do recruiting automation, you by definition need a certain amount of volume for a payback for automation. And that happens at large enterprises.
Yeah.
So for the recruiting world, we've typically targeted businesses which have, which are somewhere around the Fortune 1500, Fortune 1000 and above.
Yeah.
But as we've gone into the HCM world, where it is pulse check-ins, where it is onboarding and training, exit interviews, ethics hotline, right?
Yeah.
Somebody to text and say, hey, I'm being bullied at work or I'm unhappy.
Yeah.
That has allowed us to come down market.
Right.
And so we've been able to target businesses that have even 500 employees. So a startup like AllyO, right? It's perfect because now we're at a stage where often you don't know every employee and you need to give them a channel to share their feedback for the company.
Yeah.
And so now it's become much broader for us. Having said that, I feel the best customers for us are those who are able to look beyond HR and look across the company.
Yeah.
Because I feel traditionally a lot of HR has been just running a program that's been prescribed. But now there's a new class of HR leaders who are trying to influence the company at the strategic level.
Right.
And I feel when you look at talent from as that kind of an asset, as opposed to just recruiting or like just employee happiness scores, those are the customers that end up being most successful with us.
I could certainly see that. And the data that you get from digitization, from a tool like AllyO, and the inferences and the conclusions you can draw from that really helps HR become a very strong talent and strategic partner for the CEO and executive team. So to HR people who are thinking about buying digital technology, what advice do you have for them?
Well, I'll take the advice back from the only job I've ever had was at McKinsey. And McKinsey's distinctive strength was problem solving. What it helped you identify, it is very ironical because all your life you work. In McKinsey, you work 20% of the times, and 80% of the times you identify what to work on. It's just a synthesis down to what is it, the one thing you should do in the 20% of your time which will have the most bang for buck. I feel the one advice I have for HR leaders is to spend time doing that. HR is so complicated. So many different agents. There's the left brain, right brain, there's data, there's emotions, everything's just jumbled together. I feel the HR leaders who can spend time to identify what is it that will be valuable for them, driven by their system and not looking at, hey, somebody else is using AllyO, or just because this video says that this customer is using it doesn't mean it's a good fit for you. Really boiling it down to, hey, I need to solve this problem, and hence I need to look for a partner who can either offer a product or services that can help me do that, is my biggest advice for them.
All right.
And we've trained our team, when you look at our customer success team, specifically on that skill. I'll give you an example. There's a hotel chain we were talking with who wanted to use us for employee engagement. And they told us today only 2% of employees respond to any communication. And they said, oh, we'll use AllyO because you guys even do texting. But you have to break it down because when we broke it down, they have a policy in the hotel saying that you can't use your phone at work. So whether you send them an email or you send them a text, it doesn't matter. The challenge is like how do you allow them during their break time or something to look at it? So it's not AllyO as a solution. The challenge is something else.
Interesting. Interesting and good advice. So what's next for AllyO?
Well, lots of things. It's an exciting moment for us. We just raised the biggest round.
Very successful.
In AI and HR, we are now, thank you, we are the largest from a valuation, from a funding standpoint. We've got some really good investors, particularly because we've been able to attract the SAP's venture arm, Randstad's venture arm, Google's venture arm. So it's a good mix of technology and strategic partners. For us, I think the biggest thing that we want to do is become that platform in HR where coordination can happen in a human-like manner.
Gotcha.
We are fortunate that AI is picking up at the same time. That was not in 2016, AI was not as prolific or as buzzy as it is now, right? But that also means there's a lot more technological advances happening in AI that we are benefiting from. A lot of marketing and just word of mouth that we are benefiting from. But I think end of the day, what makes us successful is that enterprises who start with us, within a period of 6 months, increase their usage of AllyO by around 20 times.
Okay.
And for us, that allows us to grow into different use cases and create this platform through which coordination for different HR workflows happens.
Right.
And by doing that, you become truly that talent coordinator, which could be, hey, update my address because I moved, to how many PTO days I have, hey, I'm not happy at work, hey, I want to find another job, hey, I want to refer somebody, whatever it might be. Just have one point of contact where you look on your phone and you say, hey, HR at ABC company, and you text them, like, I want to do this, and it's done. And for a change, that coordinator called AllyO follows back and says, hey, I've done that, or keeps the conversation going. That's the vision.
It's a digital assistant, but very
completely
strategic.
It's a digital assistant. Call it a digital worker. There's belief that by 2030, the labor market, 30% of the labor market would be digital workers.
Right.
Today in your swimming pool, you either get the guy to clean your pool or you install that sweeper and those things. Those are all digital workers that are somewhat augmenting what we do on a day-to-day basis. And we believe HR hasn't had enough investment from a digital worker standpoint.
And we know that's going to change. So thank you very much. Very much appreciate you being here. So I really recommend you all take a look at AllyO, a very informative website. And if you haven't yet, take a look at Hack Recruiting. I'll guide you through all these decisions on how to improve your processes, interviewing, all of that in the book. So again, thank you very much, and we'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye.